Good morning and welcome. If you're just joining us, this is your host, Keely Austin. Welcome to the Elevate Renatus team call. Today is Wealth Wednesday. As of right now, we have 51 participants on the call. Reach out to your team. We do not want any ICMs left behind. These trainings are just such a great way, like I said earlier, to start our mornings. Daine Clark is our trainer today, and he always has such amazing information to share with us. He really dives into his processes and shares with us how he's been able to be so successful at this business. And so I'm honored to share our morning with Daine. A little bit of Daine's background. Before Renatus, he was working 2 jobs. He worked for Apple in the back. He was a little bit shy, just not the most outgoing, and also was a roofer. With fair skin and red hair, being in the sun all day was not his cup of tea. He fell into roofing because of it's what his dad did. He was barely making ends meet and started looking for other income opportunities. And after finding Renatus, he plugged into the system, he listened to his mentor, and he started to apply the velocity banking to pay down debt. And then he used that as leverage for a down payment on a duplex. He lived in one side and rented out the other. Fast forward to today, he's raised over $6 million from investors to lend on various real estate transactions. And his secret to that capital is consistency and frequency. He has grown his team. He is recognized by Bob Schneider as a key leader. He's a PIT team member, meaning he's a President's Advisory Council member in training. And we're so very fortunate to have him as our trainer today. I'm excited to hear what you have to share. Good morning, Daine.
Good morning. How are you doing? Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you great. I'm doing awesome. How are you?
I'm doing great. Perfect. Greetings from Disneyland, everybody. I'm super excited to share a little bit on what we've got going today. Let me go ahead and share my screen here. And actually, you know what? Let's do this first. So let's do the same old accountability call or accountability for a moment. So let me jump in here to the chat. Now, if those of you have no idea what I'm talking about, if you, for just a couple of seconds here, look back through the last 7 days on your calendar and look and see how many people you met with between Wednesday last week and today. Or basically this call last week and today. So 8 a.m. from Wednesday. How many people did you have at an event? Did you get in front of and ask them for the close? How many people, went to maybe a house tour or anything. So Eloy, good job, brother. So Eloy had 4 people. Now, and then also one thing that I track, if you haven't heard me say this, like let's say I had one person come on Thursday night, and then that person came on Friday night, and then next Tuesday they came to the house tour, and then I met with them, one-on-one on the actually that wouldn't work because that would be the one next Wednesday. But let's say I met with them at my own, house tour or at a coffee shop or whatever, then I would count that person 4 times because I've learned in this business that people need to see something at least 2 to 5 times before they join. I've literally had some people join on the second where they put their credit cards in, the second exposure. I've had some people, take a little bit longer where it's 5 or 6. But yeah, so Eloy, we had 4 people. Good job, brother. Levi had 3. Keely had 2, and following up, cool, follow-ups from last week. Esther had 3. Great job. Sherry had 6. Man, these numbers are amazing. Cecilia had 13. Great job. Marlon had your first one. Congratulations, Marlon. That is so awesome. This just brought you into a whole new ball game. When you bring the first one, now you're just like, all right, all I have to do is do that again. and make sure that the first one gets to the second one, by the way. Their next exposure and next exposure. But great job, Eloy, doing a couple follow-ups, entered in some orders. So great job. Let's see. Oh, thank you for congratulating Cecilia Keeley. Jody had 5 people. 5 people talked to and 1 showed up. Great job. That's actually a pretty good, let's say 20% show up ratio. That's actually pretty good, especially if that's in either cold market or sometimes in warm market. Let's see, Amy had 2 at the event, 1-on-1 scheduled for tonight. Great job. Another person coming Saturday. Awesome. Talked to 8 people last week, and one is coming. Great job, Allison. Also, for anybody that is on the phone, if you would like to jump off of mute and share just a really quick how many people you had. Amy, I've got you off mute now. Oh, just kidding. So anybody, again, on the phone that wants to
4.
chime in and say how many people. Great job, Anne, had 4. Congratulations. Also, you'll notice, and I think I've said this almost every single time, but you'll notice that even if you are honest with yourself and you report a nice little goose egg of 0, watch what happens in the next week of your numbers. If you start having if you start being honest with yourself and say, hey, you know what, I didn't bring anybody this week, but I'm going to this next week, then I mean, it's crazy when you report something on action or even inaction, then your performance is actually going to improve faster than you could, even if you were taking some like sales class. I mean, I don't care. If you just report, then your performance is going to improve naturally. It's super crazy. Okay, let's see. I watched number grows.
Janine Beth.
Oh, Janine, how's it going?
Oh man, it's going so good. Last week you really helped me. I remember I asked about a lady that I'd taken, and she just dropped off. Well, I am putting in an extreme combo today.
Oh my gosh.
2 of the people that were at Mark's seminar also know this lady, and I had them text her. They're the ones that are coming in extreme combo. One other lady was there. She's already come in. And so 4 of us texted her and said, we miss you. Where are you? And she got back and said, I'm in Korea, and I will be back. I'm excited to start.
Oh,
the other thing is, with 2 of my new students, we're forming an LLC, and they're already getting their first house. They've been in 3 weeks.
Oh my gosh! Congratulations!
So
It's
been a
awesome.
great week. I've got 4 people coming Thursday night.
Yeah, congratulations to all of your success. And remember that she was one of those ones that had a bunch of zeros every once in a while, and she's getting started. So just like Allison, or sorry, just like who was it? Allison said, no, who said there was their first one? Marlon. Just like Marlon said, you always got to have that first one. Great job on getting that done. So now you just got to, now the next thing to learn is how you collect the order, and then how do you collect their credit card, and so on and so forth. So awesome. Julie, or Marsha, great job. Julie, let's see, doing first epic event tonight in my own town. Nice, congratulations. 7 people say they're coming, and I got a couple maybes. Let's see. Yeah, where is your town, Julie? I'd love to know. LaShawn, good job. We're gonna get this going. Julie said, Sanford, Arizona. Awesome, wonderful. Okay, cool. So let's jump over to the topic for today. And let's see. Oh, Mark, I've got you off mute. Did you want to say it? Oh, just kidding. Okay. Let's jump over here. Oh, and like I said, guys, greetings from Disneyland. Let me share my screen. And let's see. 1, 2, 3. Share on the Zoom. Bam. There we go. All right. Again, guys, greetings from Disneyland. One of the things that I had on my vision board, if you've ever seen me or followed me and hear my trainings on vision boards, one one of the things I wanted to do was take my whole family, literally everybody, my mom, dad, brothers and sisters, and all of their kids. I want to take everybody to Disneyland on my dime. So we're missing I think 4 people in this picture because they didn't get up early enough, and we wanted to hit the character whatever early in the morning. And so, but anyway, so I got my mom and dad, brother and sister, their kid. There's my wife and our two kids in the red there. And then one of the daughters did wake up early enough, and then my baby sister, that's in her 20s now, and her husband, and we all took off to Disneyland. It was super, super cool. On my dime, I was able to check this one off. Now, it was crazy. I put this one on my vision board when I was new, hadn't had any success yet, and I forgot about it. I totally forgot about it. And it was crazy because my wife and I were just talking, and I can't even remember how it was brought up, but we were just like, oh my gosh, remember when we wanted to do this? And we were actually in the middle of having one of the biggest months of our lives, and we go, let's do this. Oh my gosh, let's do this. Like, I was like, honey, get on the phone and start calling people. Let's see how much this costs. And we figured it out, and we booked our tickets, a couple of months ago. And here we are in Disneyland. We're about to start heading back later today. We've been here for 3 days, did the Oogie Boogie party stuff. It was super, super cool. Anyway, so let's jump over. And I wanted to share a couple of things that have been weighing on my mind lately on the difference between, and maybe some of you have heard me say this before, but the difference between a due date. So in your own business, in your progression, in your career, whatever you want to call it, your goal, there's a difference between a due date and a due date. So if you've ever heard me talk about my vision board training, I actually prefer not to have due dates, if you will, but I like to put on today's date, but even then, like when you're setting some goals and things like that, as you're going through and breaking down, something that you want, a vision of something that you want to actually come to pass and have happen, then in some of these minor goals, you've got to have some due dates. You got to say, hey, if I want to do a real estate deal, I'm gonna have to watch all these classes. I'm gonna have to make this many offers, like that kind of stuff. But one thing that I feel like slows us down, and this is so true for myself even as well. So one thing that slows us down is that you don't block off your calendar and say, hey, this is when I want to actually do this. So today we're actually going to be talking about the due date versus the due date. So anyway, backing up or moving on here. So whenever you set a goal and say, you know what, I want to become 5-star by this time, or I want to do my first real estate deal by this amount of time, or when I want to, make this much money in a given month, with this comma, or maybe even 2 commas, whatever, in a given month, whatever it is, then when you set that goal, you got to start working backwards. So I'm going to ask everybody right now, think of one thing that you want. So we're October 23rd. Think of one thing, just one, that you would like to have done by the end of October. So by the 31st of October, think of one thing that you would like to have done before the end of October. Now that gives us basically 7 days, give or take, like 7, 8 days. So it gives us 8 days. So obviously whatever that thing is going to have to be a little bit smaller You know, we're not going to go and, you know, close a multi-billion-dollar real estate deal, transaction, merger, whatever. I mean, maybe that's already been in the works for the last several months, but this is going to be something that you know that you can accomplish within the next 8 days. Okay, so think of one thing that you would like to have done by October 31st of this year. Okay, so 8 days from now. And if you've got it, then let's start thinking about that one thing. Okay, so now what I do, so I say, okay, here is my due date. I would like to have that one thing done. Okay? And then you can start breaking it down and say, all right, how many hours is it going to take me? You know, whatever. If it's watch an entire class, then we're looking at like a 6-hour commitment possibly. If it's make, you know, so many offers, then we're looking at, you know, probably about a 6-hour commitment again. If it's invite, you know, 10 people, get 10 people to a meeting on a Thursday night, then again, we're probably looking about 6 or so hours. Yeah. So, all right. So we break down and let's say it's going to take us about 6 hours to get that thing done. Okay. So what I do when I know that I'm going to have to spend some time to get that done, whether it's a class, like I said, whether it's, you know, make so many offers, you know, get my first deal under contract, whether it's so many guests to a meeting, you know, whatever it is. Okay. I know, and I want that done. I'm going to go to my calendar, and my due date was October 31st. So one thing that I like to do, and this is just a personal preference, to jump on my calendar and say, all right, I want that one thing done. And I just use an all-day event on there, but I'm going to go ahead and add that. But now I'm going to say, all right, when am I actually going to do that? Like, when am I actually going to fit time in my calendar? And if your calendar is very, very blank, I mean, I even plan my my vacation. Look at this. Like, this is when we went to the Halloween party. We're driving. We went to the beach, and basically these two, for Saturday and Monday, we're all day Disneyland. So I mean, yeah, we just whatever. So even then, still planning stuff. So I'm going to bump out and say, all right, well, it looks like I don't really have time to do that thing on my calendar until let's see, Monday looks like, because I personally don't work on Sunday. And so I'm going to bump in here and say, all right, well, I know if I'm going to have to make calls, then I probably shouldn't start calls until like 11 a.m. And so I'm going to block an hour off of here. So that's hour number one. I'm going to block an hour off, you know, here. So there's hour number two. And then I know that I'm going to have to do some work on the back end. So when nobody's awake, so I'm going to block off an hour here. And so you'll notice that what I'm doing now is I am scheduling. Oh, did I break something? Oh, no, this is what I want. I am scheduling my due dates. So I'm going through and saying, I'm going to do this thing on these dates at these specific times. And this would be as if I was scheduling myself to sit down and go to lunch with Bob Schneider himself. Like if Bob Schneider told me, hey, Daine, do you want to come over for lunch? Or do you want to go to lunch? And say, hey, Daine, come over on Monday the 28th at noon o'clock. I'd be like, done. And I'd block it off in my calendar. I'd probably put like an hour of travel time, even though, you know, it's like 30 minutes from my place. I'd probably put an hour of travel time before, hour of travel time after, you know, just to make sure that I was going to do that thing, that I was going to go and sit down and have lunch with Mr. Schneider. Okay, so you need to treat this due date, as in the DO, let's call it the due date. You got to treat that due date as though it's gold. You've got to say, like, if somebody says, hey, do you want to go and get some ice cream or whatever? I don't care. Whatever they say, do you want to go do this or do that? Actually, in Utah, it's getting cold, isn't it? Oh, man, it's going to be freezing when we get back. But anyway, so hey, you want to go get some hot chocolate? Then you look at your calendar and you say, oh, you know what? I can go before then, or I can go after then. But you do not override, unless it's like crazy important, obviously. And you can just be like, oh, you know what? I'll shift that down, whatever. But you do not override your due dates. That is your sacred time to start working toward your vision, to start building your vision of whatever it is that you want, or wherever it is that you want to end up. Okay. So now you're scheduling your due dates of when you're going to do that thing. And it's crazy because I've noticed that when I do this, or when I see students do this, they actually get stuff done. It's ridiculous. I mean, down to the point where a lot of my students, when we sit down and set some goals, like, I'll bust out their calendar and say, all right, show me when you're going to do this. Like, if you want to become 5-star in the next, month, then show me, pull out your calendar and show me by building a template of saying you're going to be at our Thursday night of, or I should say your local event. You're going to be at your local event, whenever that is, and that you're going to set a recurring event that you are there every single week. Like, you'll notice my calendar. I've got this template here where I'm there every single week. I never miss, right? We're even going to shoot for making it there driving from Disneyland with our 2 little babies. We got 16, 17 people here. And we're road tripping. And so we're going to make it back. And the goal is to get there before Thursday so I can make it there. Even if I have to make it towards the end. Okay? But I've committed in my business that I'm there. If I can be there, I'm there, because I would like to hit certain income goals in my Renatus business as well as my real estate business. And so I schedule my due dates of when I'm going to do things. Okay. And I actually have people coming to this Thursday night. Okay. So now I've got my due dates. We're treating this as sacred time, right? This is our sacred time. We protect it. It doesn't matter. We treat this as if we're going to go to lunch with Mr. Bob Schneider himself. Okay. And so you treat that time as sacred time, and now you see yourself working. And the crazy thing is as you're doing these things, as you're doing, you can see yourself start getting closer, right? And you start developing this skill. So in the 5 currencies, where they talk about the most important to the least important, the time, knowledge, relationships. It's actually been really cool to be out here with my whole family and just like chatting about business and things like that. And we've been talking. It's so funny. We're talking about things that I learned in the education. Okay. Even in the sales pitch, learn this in the sales pitch for Renatus. But time, knowledge, relationships, credibility, or a lot more formerly known as credit, but I like to call it credibility, and money. Okay. And so here, as you're doing those things, whether you're focusing on building knowledge, building relationships, building credibility, you name it, right? These are the 3 things that you'll want to be spending your time doing. Obviously, we're not going after money, because that would be like robbing a bank. So we don't do that one. Okay. But you're spending your time on building knowledge, building relationships, or building credibility. Now, let me talk about these things really fast. Okay. So knowledge, this one's simple, right? Watching classes. This is studying, going to study groups. This is, going to a house tour, to go and ask questions. You know, obviously the house tours are more of a sales event, but dude, you get to sit there and talk to the investor. You get to ask them questions. You know, you can show up before, you can show up after, you can, you know, be a volunteer, lending hand, and you get to sit and ask, and you start building these relationships, okay? Or sorry, you start building knowledge by just asking questions and hanging around the right relationships. Now, in your real estate business, you're going to start building two types of relationships. There's going to be students with Renatus, and there's going to be non-students. And both are equally valuable when you're building relationships. Okay, and so I'm just giving you guys some ideas on things of things to be doing. Okay, to start leading to the money, and then credibility. Quick story on credibility. Yeah, when I was new, you guys have probably heard me. In fact, here, let me talk about this. I've raised millions of dollars at this point. I think I just broke like 7 or 8 million recently. But let's talk about this. Okay, let me show you this this little tracker. Because again, remember how I say I track everything? So just a couple of items here. Like notice all these little green squares of dollar amounts. So, and then notice the reds. So the reds were when people said no. So yeah, I have asked people to come in with money on deal, and they ended up saying no. Okay, so I've got these reds, I've got these greens, I've got, and you'll notice that I have a lot more reds earlier on when I was just getting my business started. And then as time goes on, I've got way less no's. You know, there's a couple there, there's 1, 2, you know, so I've got way less no's later on. But key point of this story. So the very first time I had ever raised money, and I had credibility 0, meaning I had never raised money, I had never closed the money, I had never closed the deal, I had not made any substantial amount of money, like nothing. I had credibility 0. Okay. But let me tell a little bit of extra backstory behind Mr. Glenn Meekum here, okay? Because he's the first one that I really count, because Perry is my father, but Glenn is one of the first people that I ever raised money from, that I literally just like pitched him, and then he wired money into one of my first deals. Okay, so again, credibility 0 in my mind, I should say. But here, let me show you how credibility works. So when I first reached out to Glenn, long time ago, I mean, this was years at this point, when I first reached out to Glenn, here I was, you know, again, credibility 0, watching my classes, you know, the googly-eyed new student that's watching classes and learning new things, and just going, holy crap, is this real? Like, I remember watching those classes being like, is this even legal? Like, this is so cool. Like, this should totally be, no, I shouldn't say this should be illegal. But this should totally be like not allowed, because this is amazing. Like everyone should know this. Okay. So anyway, so there I am, new googly-eyed student, you know, I'm going to become a millionaire, all the stuff. And I reach out to Glenn, and I'm like, hey Glenn, and I'm following the script. I'm following what Jay Massey is teaching in his classes. And I'm like, hey Glenn, you know, hey man, dude, you know, what's up? How you doing? How's the kids? How's the family? Right? You've all heard me. 4, how's the family? How's work going? You know, hey, other than work, what are you most passionate about? Okay, recreation. So work and family. And so I'm asking him questions, and I don't even get to recreation yet. I basically just ask him about occupation. Hey, you know, I actually don't even know what you do for work. You know, what do you actually do? And so those are the exact questions I'm asking him. And then he starts telling me, he's like, oh yeah, I run my business. I do this, I run that. I've been doing this for years. It's been a lot of fun. It's been good to me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Glenn, because I'm hearing him tell me that he has money, basically, because he's been successful in this business. And so I say, oh my gosh, Glenn, and if any of you heard my regional training, like, I don't care what they say at this point. They could say anything. Oh, we're having a baby. Oh my gosh, have you ever considered getting involved in real estate investing? Or they could say, hey, I actually just lost a family member. He's like, hey, oh my gosh, I know somebody that lost a family member and stepped into a whole bunch of money. And they said, you know what, let's put that money to good use instead of just blow it on a bunch of wing-dings and parties and Ferraris and start investing. Hey, have you ever considered getting involved in real estate investing? Okay, that's an I right there, real estate investing. And so it doesn't matter what they say. So Glenn told me, oh, I've been really successful in my business. Oh my gosh, Glenn, have you ever considered getting involved in real estate investing? Okay, doesn't matter what they say. You always turn it to that point. Okay, it doesn't even recreation. And yeah, I really want to travel the world and whatever. I want to try. Like, oh my gosh, have you ever considered investing in real estate? Real estate's one of the only things I've seen. The system's basically built for you, and as long as you own enough of it, then it can just pay you. Okay, you ever consider getting involved in real estate investing so that you can travel the world? Okay, whatever. And so I tell Glenn those things, and I say real estate investing. He's like, in fact, yes, Daine, I've been actually super excited about real estate. In fact, I've bought my first property several years ago, but I just don't have the time to get into more real estate at this point. And so anyway, so he's like, yeah, come over to my house, meet my wife, and let's talk about this. Okay, so here I am, new googly-eyed student. I go over to his house, and I say, Glenn, here's what I plan to do. I want to find a real estate deal. My goal is to get it at a $100,000 discount minimum, and then we're going to turn this into a profit center, whether we just get one big piece of cash or we start getting cash on the monthly basis. Okay, so here's my goal. Here's what I'm doing. Okay, in fact, here's a property, little hint here. Here's a property that we are looking at, that I've made an offer on, okay, and they are considering my offer. And so I have, something substantial. I mean, even if they didn't even say yes to that offer, at least I had something that I'm looking at, right? Here's an actual address of a property that we're looking at of an example. And if I could get it for this price, then hey, we could do this with it. We could do this with it. Okay, we've got all these options. And Glenn likes the idea. He's like, you know what? I like the idea. This makes sense. Okay. And so there I am. And he's like, yeah, bring me a deal. And I said, great. And that deal that I made the offer on didn't end up going through. And so I'm like, oh, dang it. And here's the thing I did wrong. But I didn't call Glenn back and say, I'm going to find another one. Okay, it doesn't matter. I told him that the deal didn't go through. And I was at this point, because again, I had never raised money. I'd never experienced any of that stuff. Anyway, so I'm at credibility 0. And so what ends up happening was a couple of months later, I'm working again and looking for deals and all that kind of stuff. And I have the next one pop up. And again, this was a few months later, but I hadn't even talked to Glenn and had not even updated him. My recommendation is, if you want to build credibility, keep these people updated. But the fact that this deal did not go through, and then months later, I call Glenn back and basically do the same thing. I say, Glenn, I got one, man. Let's look at this deal together. The fact that I had already talked to Glenn, and even though it did not work out, and months later I call him back and say, Glenn, I'm still doing the same thing as I was before. I'm still looking for the same thing that I was before. And guess what? I got one. I had instant credibility with Glenn. Yeah. Brian, you're off of mute. Did you want to say something?
What? You couldn't find your shoes?
Cool. Okay. So here I am, credibility 0. I need to change colors. Credibility 0 in my mind, but just the fact that I had been working and still had not even received any new outcomes yet. He was still my first. You always have your first. You got your first sale, your first combo, you got your first deal, all these firsts. I still had not had any first, but just the fact that I was still working towards that goal of doing my first deal, I instantly had credibility with Glenn. Okay, so secret to credibility: do the do. Okay, keep on doing your due dates, the DO, where you're learning, you're building more relationships, and naturally more credibility will come, even if you don't even make any money, right? I mean, same thing when I closed my first combo. I mean, almost same exact story. I meet, let's see, the very first combo. Oh my gosh. It's coming to me. Will. So Will, same thing. Family, occupation, recreation. Oh my gosh, I'm getting married. Dude, have you ever considered investing in real estate? Like he's literally like about to get married, within a couple of weeks. And he's like, yeah, I've actually, anyway, real estate. Yeah. Okay. And so same thing, hadn't done any deals yet, hadn't done any real estate yet. I mean, hadn't made any money. And we find ourselves talking about real estate, and he joins. And credibility zero in my mind. But just the fact that I'm working and I'm building knowledge and I'm building more and more relationships. Like I have stories at this point of just things that I'm doing because I'm doing. Okay? You'll find that the more doing that you do while you're doing the do, sorry, I just had to say it. But the more doing that you do while you're doing the due dates and working towards your due dates by scheduling your due dates, the more credibility you start building with the relationships that you're building. Okay? So that one thing that I asked you to think about that you're going to do before October 31st, or that you're going to do before October 31st. Just make sure that whatever that is, that it's something in these categories, that you're building relationships, that you're building knowledge, or you're building relationships, whether it's students or non-students. And believe me, you are going to want both. Both non-students and students. Okay? Because your success will just be that much faster if you can build the skill to do both. And you know what's crazy is non-students ended up being easier for me. And I remember how everybody knows this. I'm like the shy guy. Non-students has actually become easier for me than students. You know why? Because if somebody's not a student and they're not interested in real estate, who cares? See you later. I'll talk to you whenever. But as I'm building relationships with other students like you guys, I see you every single week. Okay? If I do, this doesn't affect me anymore, but when I was new, if I did something embarrassing, like, dude, that would like affect me. And those people are going to have to see me next week and all that kind of stuff. Even though I have learned not to care anymore, that was scary early on, right? Building relationships that I knew I was going to see every week. So anyway, non-students, even my own family members. Like I had my brother tell me I was the dumbest person in the world because I joined Renatus. And here he is on an all expenses paid trip to Disneyland, 3 years later, right? I thought I was the dumbest person because I spent $20,000 on some education. And here he is asking me questions like, dude, how do you do this? Okay. So, sometimes it's the people that you are going to know and see every single week that are scary. But now my brother's like, dude, how did you do this? Like he's seriously interested, and he's asking for knowledge and relationships just because of what I know. And now I have all this credibility because he's watched me go from, dude, you're an idiot, spending $20,000 to, dude, you make way more than $20,000 in a month. He's watched me go from there to there. If that doesn't build credibility, I don't know what does. But anyway, so we got a little bit of time here for questions and answers. Looks like there was a bunch of people in the chat. So I'm going to, let's see, where did we leave off? Amy, entered an advanced combo this weekend. Congratulations. Happy weekend to you. Let's see, can't wait to see you, and I definitely glad you caught me. Congrats. Oh yeah, Keely, you should totally try this. It was super fun. It only cost me like 2 combos. Let's see. Thank you. Oh, Sherry, good, congratulations, 3 essentials orders. Corey, getting finance in place for my bulk condo purchase. Congratulations. Sherry, I have 2 people who say they're going buy essentials, working on the finances. Doing it until they get funded. Sherry, just keep asking them, or just keep inviting them to meetings. Like if they've already said yes, make sure you put the order in. For number 1, put the order in. Doesn't matter if they can't pay today. Just put that order in and get the signatures. Okay. But yeah, just keep on inviting them to the next thing. Like I always have the next sit down in the calendar with them. Always. Okay. And you know, even after they've purchased and are in that 7 right of, you know, after they put their credit cards in, unlock their education while they're in that 7-day right of decision period, I still like continue meeting with them, getting them excited and getting them oriented. You know, I'll sit down and do this kind of stuff. We're like, hey, pull out your calendar, right? When are you going to do this? And stuff like that. Okay. I typically don't do that until after they've paid and they own their education. And we actually have things to put in there. Sometimes I'll do that as kind of like an assumptive close where I say, hey, pull out your calendar. Like, show me when you're going to actually do this. Like, show me when you're actually going to drive some success in your life. Yeah, because either you can go back to doing what you've always been doing, or you can come and do this. Yeah. So, all right. Any questions that anybody might have? How do we put in orders without them having to pay? Ooh, I just think I got my next training. Marlon, if you would like to reach out to me, I might actually have a training on this already, but reach out to me if you need this before next Wednesday. Then I'll give you a quick sneak peek. But other than that, how about we do an extensive training on this next week when we're on this call, and then we can have it recorded and it's indexed and all that kind of good stuff. But yeah, I'll show you guys how I put my orders in, and I mean, super just like nonchalant. Like I collect the signatures, like all the stuff, and I'll even talk about how when people do. Oh, there you go. I did not know that's been floating around somewhere. So congratulations, there it is. So yeah, watch that training, but we'll do this next week because I probably have some updates that we can go through. So perfect. Any other questions before we finish the call today? Julie, I've got you off mute. Did you have a question?
Oh, no, sorry.
Oh, no worries. Let's see, I've got 303-585-0490 off of mute. Did you have a question?
Janine Best again.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to tell you that last week was an aha moment again because I thought I needed to take people to 6 or 7 events. And when you said 2 to 3 and then put in the order, I just went, oh my gosh, I've been waiting too long.
Oh yeah, way too long. I always ask for the order in event number 2. Always. I always ask. I don't always get it, but I will say 90% of the time I get it in that second meeting. So great job. Great job.
Thanks.
Let's see, who else? I've got 435-237-4863 off of mute.
Hey, Daine. Good morning.
How's it going?
Doing well. A little off topic, but it's regarding something that you mentioned earlier. When you know that you're going to be out of town for an event that you're going to have guests at, how do you set the expectation about, you know, hey, I'm going to be out of town, but still go, basically?
Mm-hmm. It depends on the scenario. So this could get pretty custom. depending on the scenario. But for the most part, I usually say, if I still am going to have them go, well, I should say this. Number one, be there. Like if there's any way for you to be there, be there. This is why I actually build my travel schedule around me being there on Thursdays if I can. And obviously, if we're gone for longer than a week, like this trip, then I did miss last Thursday. But if I can, I try not to miss because I'm building a business here. I need to be there. Yeah. So I should just say that so it's on recording. But if I know I'm not going to be there, then I'll still tell them. I'll say, you know what, I will, I book the meeting, I get them there, I get them committed, all the stuff, to be there. And I say, cool, on this one, I'm actually out of town, doing this, whatever. I'm doing something important that I can't be there. I'm always there when I can be. But they will take very good care of you. I say, just talk to the lovely ladies or friendly gentlemen at the front desk, and they'll help you find where to go. And I can tell you right now that you're going to be in with this person, like whoever's speaking that night. So you're going to be in with this person. This is, a couple of really awesome things. You edify that person. Say, hey, he's been in real estate for this many years. He's done this many deals, and he's going to be sharing. And so now you just start making it about the person that they are going to meet. And person, not people, person, because now it's personal. And so you start talking about the person that they're going to meet, and be like, yeah, they'll help you. They'll refrain from just like sending out a group text to everybody and be like, hey, everybody, like I'm not going to be there. Watch out for my guests. Like, dude, let's be honest. Like nobody can do that. Physically, nobody can be like, hey, just like look for all these different people. But anyway, so you tell them, give them instructions and say, hey, I'm going to be out, but talk to the lovely ladies and the friendly gentlemen at the front desk. They'll help you where to go. But here's let me tell you about the person that you're going to meet. And then you just edify the crap out of this person and why they need to meet them. So great question. Great question.
And just a little follow-up to that. Do you then just check back in with them to then schedule the follow-up, the one-to-one follow-up with them, or do you do that
if I can. Like, for example, like if I was not going to be there on Thursday or whatever my local event is, I would actually call them at the time that the event would be getting done roughly, so like in Utah, they get done around 9. So I'd probably call them like at 9:15, maybe 9:20. I would actually just call them if I can and just be like, hey man, how did it go? Because they're going to, whoever is speaking, they're going to invite them to the next meeting, but you got to keep, if you keep it personal, then your show up ratio is going to be super, super high or much higher. And so I would still call, if I can, I still call them that night or call them the very next morning if I can. And there's, nowadays there's things that you can send out, automated text messages and schedule them and, things like that. So if you can't, then still do something like that where you send them like an automatic timed text message at like 9:20 or, whatever time that you need to. And just make like, hey man, just wanted to check in with you, whatever. How did it go? Did you find it out? Did you get to the right place? Like, how was it meeting this person? Those kinds of things. What did you like best? And then schedule the next meeting.
Cool. So, awesome. Cool. Thank you.
And Jeremy, yes, to answer your question. In fact, today I shared a couple of little nuggets from my regional training. But yeah, like all these things are going to be trickling through. And I didn't get to spend a lot of time in a regional training because I got cut short a little bit. But like today, for example, I got to spend a lot more time on some nuggets that I wish I had more time to speak on the regional. So yes, absolutely. So, all right, guys, have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you all next week.